Hi, everybody. Where do I get my inspiration? So, a lot of my inspiration comes from not just craft stuff, but like I scroll Instagram and sometimes I will see like a picture on someone's wall behind them in their photo, and I'm like, "Ooh, that would make a really cool card." Or the other day, I posted a card recently that I was at the Coach store getting my purse repaired, and there was a purse there, and I was like, "Oh, I can make a card that looks like that." So honestly, my inspiration comes from everything that I see. Like sometimes it does come from other cards, but a lot of times it comes from just things that I see, you know, in everyday, experiences. My favorite craft organization hack. I will have to say it's not really a hack per se, but there's two things. Make sure you have a place for things. Like everything should have a place that you use. Like so when you're done using it, you can put it back in that place. I found that doing that helps me stay organized. And also the things that you use the most frequently, keep them within arm's reach. I have like a it was meant for kitchen tools. It's like a round thing. And I know this won't work for everybody, but it's like one of those rotary tool holder things for it was supposed to be for the kitchen, but we didn't use it in my kitchen anymore, so I snagged it for my craft room. And I keep like my scissors, my rulers, like a like a jewel pick type of thing and craft knife and all the little things like that, like scissors and stuff like that in there. And it really helps me to be more productive. How did I get started crafting? Oh, this is a fun story. So, in the 90s, I went to a free class at the library and it was a scrapbooking class and literally I'd never heard of scrapbooking before. My mom and I went together and they had pretty stickers and all the cool things and we scrapbooked for a long time and then life happened and I kind of took a little bit of break from crafting and then one of my friends was like, "Oh, um, I teach card making classes. Would you be interested?" She's like, "It's kind of like scrapbooking," because she knew that I used to scrapbook. And so I went to her class and then I was just like obsessed after that. And she had a stamp club. Like every month you would commit to spending a certain amount, like $15 or something. And you'd make projects and stuff. It was super fun, social for me. And I really loved it. So that's pretty much my story. And then honestly, ever since I was in her stamp club thing, I've never stopped making cards. The scrapbooking thing kind of just went by the wayside. I still have all my scrapbooking stuff, but I just don't really do it anymore. Probably because time. I have two little kids, so that's all the time that I have is just to make cards. What do you find is the most effective organization tool or supply that you have, and where did I get it from? Um, so like I just said with the rotary tool organizer thing, that is one of the things that I really love. It was a kitchen tool, so probably I can't reach it right now, but it's honestly one of those round tool kitchen tool organizers. That thing is probably one of the most effective things for me to keep the things that I use most frequently in arm's reach because I have scissors and I have what else do I have there? Scissors, like a palette knife, some blending brushes, stuff like that. So all the things that I use regularly stay in that thing on top of my desk, and I have a spot for all of them in there. So everything goes back in there. So that's to me having a spot for everything and then putting it back when I'm done. Which putting everything back when you're done is some kind of a struggle, but I try really hard to do that because coming into a clean space when I'm done crafting is helpful. Did I ever try an organization solution that didn't work? Hmm. Um, well, I can say a solution that I kind of like passed through quickly was a long time ago. I took my all of my stamps off of wooden blocks and I put them into, someone gifted me a bunch of those like DVD cases, and I put all the stamps in there, and I found out that they still took up way too much space. So then I switched them all to the plastic sleeves. I like the plastic sleeves a lot more because just based on the way that I organize them, it's a lot easier for me to find what I'm looking for because I have a label on the very top. So I guess the CD cases, I still have some of the CD cases, but for the most part, all my stamps are now in the plastic sleeves, and that just works better for me. But I was able to regift all the DVD cases. What would I suggest to a new crafter to purchase to get started? So let's think here. Some of the things that I would say is a good pair of scissors. And I think I heard somebody say this yesterday. If you're just starting out and you don't know for sure if you're going to love the hobby, I would not necessarily buy like the most expensive things, because when I first started card making, I went to Michael's and I shopped in like the discount bins and bought a couple of like wooden stamps, because at that point I didn't know what my style was going to be. So I just bought, some of those less expensive stamps. I bought some less expensive inks, just to see if I liked it. And what else? Let's think here. So definitely good scissors. I mean, something that's definitely a splurge is a Misty stamping tool. Like, I feel like when I got that, it changed my game a lot. But that's expensive. It's a splurge. So maybe if you want to save up, if you decide you really like the hobby, that's definitely a good thing to have good success with stamping, is to have a Misty will help your cards turn out better, if that makes sense. What else? I mean, there's so many things you can get in this hobby, but quality cardstock is probably another good thing too. Like a heavier weight cardstock, the ink will not, it'll be a crisper image on quality cardstock. Yeah. How long have you been crafting, and do you mainly make cards, or do you scrapbook or something else? I have been crafting since the mid 90s. I used to scrapbook a lot. I still have all my scrapbooking supplies. I don't do it quite as much anymore. I have made a couple of scrapbooks in the last like 15 years or so for a special occasion, but not routinely. I do mostly make cards. In the last couple of years, my daughter got a play kitchen, so I've done some craft food, like some felt food making. So that's fun. I have a couple of videos from when my channel first started of making some food. I made her some donuts and stuff like that. It was cute. Where in your craft room would you like to get better organization in? I'm still because I have quite a decent supply or stash of stamps and dies, and I'm still trying to like figure out the best way to categorize them and stuff. I do use Airtable to like inventory all my supplies, but I just I'm not sure that if I should keep them the stamp sets alphabetically or by manufacturer or what. I'm not 100% sure yet. So I have a lot of different brands. Some of the stuff is older because I have been crafting for a long time. So getting a better handle on that would probably be awesome. How do I organize my paper supply? So I don't keep a ton of paper. I have a like an old file box thingy from back in the day, and I just kind of keep it in file folders. And then I have a video on my channel. I can actually reach these. This is how I organize my scraps. So let me take the background off if I can. Okay, so sorry, it's a little bit messy in here. These job ticket holders are how I organize my scraps, and there's a video on my channel about that. I have one for each color, and I do reach for my scraps first before I do anything else. So if I'm like, oh, I need pink, I'll just reach into my scrap thing and see if there's a big enough piece in there to make whatever I'm working on. Because I don't like to waste the paper. But yeah, I don't have a ton of cardstock really. I have like my white for my card bases, and then I have some. It's not a huge selection of paper, so I just keep it in like folders. All right. Please mention to others about getting more from your punches. It's brilliant to use the trading card product. Oh, thank you. Um, yeah, so there's a video on my channel that I did not too long ago, and I made a ring with the little trading card protectors, and some people suggested laminating so it wouldn't be so thick. Definitely that's a good idea too. I didn't have a laminator when I started the project, so when I just finished it and made that video recently, I just used what I still had. So I took the actually, let me grab it really quick. I'm going to be off camera for 1 second. So I took my little baseball card things and I put punched out shapes in there, and I did actually put the measurements on there. So the reason I did this was so that I could see if a sentiment would fit inside of them, or to see if an image would fit inside of them without like having to punch it out or whatever. And I do still have quite a stash of punches because I've been crafting for a long time. So I really enjoy this because I do have like, these are really great for small sentiments. So it's really helpful to be able to hold it up to the sentiment and be like, oh yes, that will fit. So I do use my punches more because I made this thing, because it's helpful to, just see if it'll work before I go and punch it out or whatever. And I really like these things. Definitely helpful. But it would be better without the thickness. All right. Is there a technique you're afraid to try? I have a gel press. I have not used my gel press very much, and I keep watching videos of it, and I see people using it with acrylic paint. I've only ever done it with like Distress Oxide inks, and I think the paint is one that I'm like afraid to try. I don't know why, but I'm afraid to like let it dry and get it on my gel press. That's something I haven't done, and something that's like scary to me for some reason. But yeah, that would be the only thing I'm afraid to try that I can think of off the top of my head right now. Oh, well, that's awesome. I will have to check that out. Awesome. Yes, because I have a lot of acrylic paint. My kids use it all the time. So we will have to check that video out because I like to try all the things. What do I do when I lose my mojo? Oh my gosh, that's a really good question because I feel like it happens frequently. I feel like when I lose my mojo, I try to like scroll through all the things that I've saved. Like I save things on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, and Pinterest, like for inspiration. Like I have folders for inspiration on like all my social media stuff. So I save stuff and then I scroll through it, and I just hope that it will inspire me. And also sometimes if my space is not clean, I will clean it, and then cleaning it up will inspire me to just do something, because as a crafter, I'm sure probably a lot of people are familiar with projects half done. Like I have a drawer with things that I've put into envelopes, and I'm like, maybe one day I'll be inspired to finish this. And sometimes when I clean and I put things into that drawer, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I had this there. So sometimes cleaning will help, and scrolling through my inspiration ideas, because I think it's really fun to, credit the original creators so they can see how you interpreted their technique. What is my favorite card making technique? Oh, well, that's a really good question. This, I guess it's not really a technique, but I kind of like to use stuff that isn't necessarily, meant for card making. Sometimes I'll find packaging from a pretty package from something and turn it into a card. Or, like I've used, I don't know, like a bag from like fruit or something like that, and given something a cool texture with ink or something like that. So kind of like incorporating things that are not initially intended for card making, I guess, would be my favorite thing to do. What type of white cardstock do I use? So I have, for my bases, I have Nina Classic Crest 110 pound cardstock for my base. What the heck is the other stuff I have? I think I have Hammermill 80 pound for my card panels. I use that. Um, what else do I use? I have what is it called? Watercolor paper. Cold press watercolor paper. I think I got it from Michael's. It's the Canson XL. And I use the watercolor cardstock for a lot of things. I use it for ink blending and watercolor. I do quite a bit of I do watercoloring. I do like watercolor pencils and stuff like that. I just posted a card with watercolor pencils on it. The Hammermill, I haven't really had too many issues with using that for like ink blending. It turns out pretty well, in my opinion. So those are pretty much the primary white cardstocks I use. I know watercolor isn't exactly white, but it gets used as a card panel basically. How would I describe my design style? That's a good question. I kind of feel like I try a lot of things, so it's kind of hard to nail down my design style. Primarily probably clean and simple because I think a lot of my cards end up being finished without lots of embellishment and stuff like that. Even though I have tons of embellishment, I don't use a ton of embellishment. I tend for them to be more clean and simple, I guess, for the most part. Sometimes I go crazy on embellishments and stuff too, but not too often. How often do I craft? Not as much as I would like to. I do have 2 little kids that are in school and in sports, so I don't get to craft as much as I would like to, but I try to do it at least twice a week, so that I can still get a YouTube video out and stuff. So usually it ends up being about twice a week. What do I do with my cards? I don't send them out because I am forgetful and stuff. I would like to send them out more. And I'm also actually in the process of trying to find a local place that I can donate them to, like the VA hospital in town or something like that. Because I just realized the other day when I was cleaning that I have a lot of cards. A lot. So yeah, I need to find a place to donate some of them because I have so many. How do I store my ink pads? So I actually have a video on my YouTube channel that shows how I made an ink storage thing with foam board, and it's similar to the way that I built the thing that you watched in my presentation today. And so I made it with a shallow box and all my ink pads are in there. That's what I have for my big ink pads. The mini ink pads, they're in a drawer in a storage solution from, I think it's from Organize More. It's like just a drawer with slat thingies. I don't have a ton of mini ink pads. What colors do I use most in card making? Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like I use a lot of colors. Because I don't really have like when I scroll through my own Instagram, I don't really have like a specific color scheme. I do tend to like bright rainbow colors. I have the Gina K Electropop inks. I love those. And I do love like the brighter rainbowy type of colors when I do a lot of other stuff. So with like ink blending and things like that, I have a lot of brighter colors that I like to use. So I would just say bright colors, I guess, because yeah, I don't know. I just really I like lots of color. What black ink do I use for sentiments? So I use, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Let me grab it. This is what I use. It's the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and this one works amazing for sentiments. Yeah. So this one says it's pigment ink for fine details. It works amazing for sentiments. It gets used for lots of things in my craft room. I was so happy when I found that one. It's the best black ink pad I've found for sentiments. Do I have a favorite paper cutter? So I only actually have two paper cutters. I have a very old Fisker's rotary cutter. I have honestly no clue if they still make it. It's humongous. Size-wise, I probably wouldn't buy it again because it's huge. But I bought it when I very first started scrapbooking, and it accommodates 12 by 12 paper. I think that's why I bought it. It works really good. The blades seem to last pretty long. So that's the big one I have. And then I have a small guillotine trimmer. I've heard good things about Tim Holtz trimmers, but I've never tried them. But yeah, I have a really old, like honestly, don't even know if it's still available, rotary trimmer from Fiskars for my big paper. And then, yeah, I would have I done any other DIY organization projects? Like I said, I did my ink storage, ink pad storage, and I have another video coming out soon on my YouTube channel for Olo markers, because what I'm doing with my Olo markers right now doesn't work for me, so I'm going to make something with that. What else have I done? I have how I do my paper scraps. That's another one that I've done, another video I did. What else have I done? A lot of my stuff that I like, the way that I do things, a lot of it is in my craft room cleanup videos on my YouTube channels. I know there's a video about, because I use a toolbox for storage for my, there was a little clip of it in my presentation. So kind of like how I organize stuff in there. That's on I have a cleanup video on my YouTube channel that shows how I put my toolbox to use, because I would say getting that toolbox was literally the best thing. My husband got it for me, and he's like, "This looks like it'd work for you." I'm like, "It's amazing." I have a Rascog cart that I put my die cutting machine on now, and my ink or hot foil stuff. That's pretty cool. Where am I located? I am in Oklahoma, Northeast Oklahoma. So like 2.5 hours from Oklahoma City. Do I listen to music when I'm crafting? What kind? Sometimes I will listen to YouTube videos, or sort of, yeah, I guess just listen to YouTube videos. Mostly vlogger type of people, I would just listen to them. But sometimes I do listen to country music. It's time to wrap up. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. I appreciate all the questions.